Why does it do this? I can't figure out what to do about this anymore. Never mind. Anyhow, this is a Glitch Reaper here, and I'm giving a very special preview with Magic Duels. Yeah, so I'm going to be continuing offline because I'm having some issues. So I'm going to just be doing this mainly to test my audio, but I will also be kind of indicating how this works. So, so I'll be trying to show off some various things here. Now, if you hit help, you'll get various things like settings and stuff, but also it gives you some tutorials about how to play. You get some things about basic Magic the Gathering, like telling you about how the basics go. About saying basically about the fact that it's part of the storyline. You're a planeswalker, and so they're usually very powerful magic users and have the power to kind of shift between planes of existence at will. So now the thing is, I've already done a lot of the stuff in the game in terms of the basics. So if you see this thing here with a check mark, that means I've already done it. Normally you would actually get some special in-game coins that you can use to get stuff. But I've already went through a lot of that, so it's not gonna happen. However, I can, however, do some of this stuff over. Since I'm offline anyhow, I won't be able to get coins. You have to be able to be online at the time to be able to get coins for doing things, as part of quests, as part of skill quests, as part of story missions, or story quests, or you get the idea. But anyhow, the whole thing is, this is about a very, very special card game. It was basically the absolute first ever. Yu-Gi-Oh!, Pokemon, any other card game you know of, everything was based on this, and it has evolved over time to kind of meet modern times, at least modern demands of card games, and has more than once risen to the challenge of basically doing some of the things that the others have done but better, saying, hey, we were the first, we've got to be the best, and they have maintained that the whole time. So that's, and there's so many aspects of Magic the Gathering that I really love. And as for Magic Duels itself, it's a free-to-play game, and it's considered the best experience overall as to how you do Magic the Gathering. And it's free-to-play. I say free-to-play, but as you could imagine with in-game coins, you can pay to win. Because you can pay money to get more coins if you really want to. I'm not that kind of person. I like to do as free as possible if I can. And this just came up, and I'm like, yeah, I got to. I gotta do it the way I do it. And so I'm going to go through this little skill quest as if I was doing the game originally. I can't say how much this would have been worth, but let's just say a little bit, like 5 or 10 coins, out of, like, for example, 150 to buy an expansion pack. So there is your scale. Now let's go into a first skill quest. Show how this works. Yeah, your training begins! Learn the basics of Magic Duels and these fun and rewarding skill quests. Again, I don't know what's up with the side. I know there was like something I used to do to get that to stop. I forget what I did. But anyhow. Yeah.
Welcome to Magic Duels. You are a planeswalker, a powerful mage, dueling across the myriad worlds of the multiverse.
Yeah. I really hope that voice came through because that does sound nice.
Your story starts with these skill quests. Challenges designed to hone your skills and prepare you for combat. If you'd like to replay a skill quest, you can do so from the Help and Options menu. Each player starts with a shuffled deck of cards called a library. Your library contains the creatures and other spells you'll need to defeat your foe. Each turn, you draw a card from your library into your hand. Only you can see the cards in your hand.
Special note, there have actually been some cards in the past that changed that rule. So, yeah, but the best thing to say about Magic the Gathering is, when in doubt, read what it says on the card. So I have actually seen cards that either allowed you to see your enemy's hand, or where you have to play with your hand revealed. But these are old school, and this game shows more recent modern Magic the Gathering expansions, so some really old school, powerful stuff you will not be seeing in here. On the other hand, some new school powerful stuff you will. So, yeah. This is the game that gets crazy. Now, so basically there are certain things where you could say, addendum, if the card says so, ignore that rule.
You win the game by reducing your opponent's life total from 20 to 0.
Now that total also depends on your format if you're playing the actual game. Here you don't play alternate formats that have anything other than 20 as your starting life. But basically, as you get attacked or certain other things happen, your life points will get reduced, and if it hits 0, you're a goner. Same thing for them. Again, exceptions is if the card says you can't lose, then you can't. So there are some like that, so trust me. Wherever the card says so, go with it.
Zoom in on any card by moving the cursor over it and scrolling the mouse wheel up. Try it now. While zoomed in on a card, you can learn more about its abilities in the More Info box on the right. Zoom out by scrolling the mouse wheel down to complete this skill quest.
Okay, now another thing about this is there's a lot of cards from some of the sets that aren't included. They'll either be in your skills quests or your missions, but you won't have them whenever you're doing like against random computer opponents or in online multiplayer, because people can only really own ones that are allowed in the game. So, yeah. So the thing is, normally you would see around here a symbol for the expansion that it's from. And over here, if you zoom in, it will actually tell you the name of that expansion as well as show you the symbol again. Usually around this part of the screen. So, basically said, this one is a very special example card, and you won't be seeing it in the game anywhere other than in skill quests and in, well, as I was saying, story missions. Now, the thing is, whenever you zoom in on a card using your mouse wheel or third button, you can actually go over these abilities, and it'll give you descriptions of various things that it means over here. So, if when in doubt, just pop over here. So that's another thing you can do. So I'm going to zoom out and
Good job. You can zoom in on cards anywhere to learn more about them.
in just a moment. I may need to adjust the volume again. I just remember that might be a little too loud coming through, so pardon me. Just a little weird extra. Sorry for the lack of immersion. But anyhow. Trust me, I like how cards fly in and out of the field. It's nice. By the way, that start of your turn is referred to as the upkeep phase. There's many phases to the game as to how you go through combat and non-combat phases, and, well, pretty much you go through phases in your turn. The startup is your upkeep, and during that time you untap or turn everything back to the way it normally is on the field, and that goes for everything that hasn't been, like, specially held down that way. You also draw a card, and might add to the very beginning, you usually start with 7 cards. So, and there's some other things that you can do, and I'll go along with that as the time goes on. So,
To complete this skill quest, finish off your opponent this turn.
and because this is like the absolute basic, yeah, basically, you can either do it this way, and you can cancel by clicking again when it comes to this game. Although it obviously in real life, if you're playing Magic the Gathering, you literally pull it back, going, I've changed my mind. So it's a bit different between the electronic version and not. So yeah, there's that. Now, as they were saying, you can do attack with all or skip attack. If you skip attack, that means you're not attacking with any creatures that turn, and you're going on to your second main phase. You have your first main phase right after your upkeep. You have your second one after you've done your combat phase, which is basically attacking, as well as if you have blockers, or they have blockers, the declaring blockers subcomponent to combat. But again, more on that stuff later. Right now, it's just doing the skill quest as is. So, yeah. Now, again, this one doesn't have anything special about it. Doesn't have any special abilities. It's just a creature card. So you have a creature on the field that you can do things with. And as you can see, this one's not even showing any flavor text. Some of them do. They have like little quotes and things about them. It's pretty cool. And that's one thing I'm into with Magic Gathering is the lore aspect is awesome. I mean, seriously, whoever so maketh this a TV/movie series would rival Marvel, I swear. But for now, I'll just attack with all because even though my opponent has a few cards, the whole point of defeating them this turn, well, if you don't have any other cards too, that means you're probably pretty much supposed to do this. So that's how skill quests often go. They kind of herd you into certain things, when the game itself is usually a bit more freeform. So, confirm attack. You can also withdraw all, as you may have seen for a moment. You can also stop the timer, if you wish, and then continue. So that's another part of the game, is whenever you see that spin, remember you can do that. As I said, blocking comes up. On the other hand, at least one advantage of this thing being stuck at the side is I can see the timer. Of course, I could always just watch the clock. Now, all damage on a creature usually goes away at the end of your turn. So that's why you have to deal that much damage in a single turn. However, you don't necessarily have to do that all in combat. You can do other things. So, yeah. The spellcasting aside, you'll probably wind up having to overcome a creature completely. Okay. Now, this isn't entirely true with the flow of the game. What you really do is you can click with the creature you want to block with, and then click on the one you want to block. So, they're a little off on that. Now, you can see here's one that's not considered tapped or turned sideways, and this is the one you can block with. You can't block with one that's turned sideways, aka tapped. So, yeah. Oh, by the way, this game actually pretty much started the expression being tapped out, because if you have everything tapped, you're pretty much wide open. So, yeah. Now they do move on the field to kind of help you see which one you're trying to block, so, yeah. Goodbye, creature. See you in the graveyard. However, in this turn, that won't be a big deal because I have nothing to cast otherwise. again, these are kind of simplified. Special note, this game does have kind of attack animations whenever different creatures attack. Either, well, either players or, or for that matter, creatures. So, yeah. So they have distinctive looks. That's something that you don't see in the real-life version. Okay, now a thing I'd like to say is there's actually several what you call basic lands. They each correspond to a particular color. And while they would otherwise, you can see the symbol on the card and how it corresponds to the type of mana that it needs. And you can see here on the top part of the card what the cost is. This will be shown more in a moment. Okay, now the thing is that thing about needing any other type, you can kind of call that generic mana. So, just, whatever applies. So, yeah, just keep that in mind for later. Yeah, basically, creatures with haste can be tapped for special abilities that require it, or can attack the turn they come into the battlefield. So you can basically just go immediately. Yeah, that's basically how this goes. Now you can also zoom in before you click, so you can basically do this if you want to. Again, this is one of the special ones you'll only see in the skill quests and other things like missions, so yeah. And showing how this works, you can click on this, and this is giving the description of how creatures work, just in general. And now we go to this, and this is basically saying with haste you can basically ignore that no tapping or attacking on the first turn rule. So you can get reminder descriptions this way, so you don't have to always read it on the card. Although, in modern times they have left what they call reminder text there, unless they have too many lines of text. And then they just go, you can look it up. Now here's a good time to attack with all, because you can see that they only have one creature able to block, and you have two creatures here, and they have like 2 points left. So since a creature can normally and I mean normally, because again, read the cards, block one creature at a time, and they only have one available. That means one of these will get through, and both of them have enough attack power to finish off this training drone. By the way, you can zoom in on NPCs and players. So yeah, that happens. So time to finish off the training drone. They block the lightning elemental, and it gets crushed. Well, both of them do. They both had too little toughness to survive the other. Okay, now that was the end of the basics. So, hopefully, whenever I go over this, I'll have the audio working, since now I think I figured out what was going wrong. And at the same time, this can count as an intro to Magic the Gathering. Otherwise, I can repeat this because this is something I know pretty well, so it makes it pretty easy. So, this has been Glitch Reaper, and I'll be signing off. Hope to hear from you all later. So, bye for now, everybody.